This week's journey begins in Miami, Florida, and today's flight will take me north to Chicago. And seeing as I'm in Miami, it makes perfect sense to fly with an airline that calls this one of their hubs, the world's largest airline, American Airlines, on board their Airbus A321. Now it's the 2nd of November and it's 80 degrees outside, so I'm getting pretty warm. Let's head inside the terminal and explore with the help of some air conditioning. Welcome to Blake Edgington Airborne. Let's get going.
Miami Airport technically has 3 terminals, north, central and south, although all are connected in a semicircle with various concourses in each. The airport is actually American's main Latin American hub, and flights with the airline operate from concourses D and E in Miami. Now for first time visitors it might sound a little confusing, but there is plenty of branding to let you know that you're in the right place. My flight was departing from the massive Concourse D, which, believe it or not, is literally a mile long. Thankfully the airport provides a SkyTrain to reach different areas of the terminal, but I wanted to stretch my legs and I was keen to have a look around. Concourse D has a pretty impressive range of shops and restaurants for departing passengers, but what I really liked was the art that was dotted around the terminal. It really adds something to the experience of flying from Miami, and I was impressed even if this guy didn't seem too bothered. As lovely as the art was, for someone like me, nothing beats enjoying the views outside.
So that's Miami Airport, and in my opinion it's kind of a tale of two halves. My experience today was basically terrible before security and pretty good after security. I'll explain more later. But for now, let's get on board the aircraft and make our way to Chicago.
American Airlines can trace its history back over 90 years, originally flying mail around the USA. Obviously today things are a little bit different, and the modern American operates the largest airline fleet in the world, and with their subsidiaries operate nearly 6,700 daily flights, carrying over 200 million passengers per year. American Airlines fly more Airbus A321 aircraft than any other airline, and in a moment I'll show you around, but firstly let's take a look at the cost of this trip. As Miami and Chicago are both hubs for American Airlines, it's little surprise that there are a number of flights between the two cities daily. Like many airlines, American offer a number of fare classes to fit your budget or travel needs, and a one-way main cabin booking set me back around $185. Now, American Airlines plans to refurbish its A321 aircraft to offer a more consistent product across the fleet, but for now there are differences in the cabin depending on what aircraft you fly on. My aircraft was originally operated by U.S. Airways and seats up to 187 passengers. As is the norm on the A321, seating in economy is in a 3-3 layout, and the cabin is fitted with individual reading lights and personal air vents above each row. It's worth noting that this aircraft wasn't fitted with power outlets or USB to charge personal devices, which nowadays is increasingly important to many passengers. I did visit the facilities during flight, and I was pleased that they were kept very clean and well stocked by the crew. If you're feeling peckish during flight, American Airlines offer a selection of buy on board items to choose from. As appealing as the turkey and pimento cheese wrap sounded, I wasn't really sure it'd be worth the $11, but I didn't go completely hungry. As well as complimentary soft drinks, the crew also offered a light snack, and I decided to fuel my growing addiction to Biscoff cookies, which I tried on my earlier Delta flight. They're delicious.
Making great progress en route to Chicago, so let's take a moment now to have a look at the seat area on board the American Airlines Airbus A321.
One of the key differences between the A321 jets operated by American is that the ex-U.S Airways aircraft like this one don't provide seatback entertainment, so we'll move quickly to the tray table instead, and the table itself provides enough space for a laptop and of course offers an indentation to keep your drink from tipping over in flight. If you need to, the table can be brought closer to you with a little adjustment available. Storage for your personal items is provided in the seatback pocket, which does offer plenty of space. Already found in here are various items including the A321 safety card, buy on board menu and the American Way in-flight magazine. On any flight that I take, the most important thing to me, of course, is the legroom, and I'm very pleased to say I had no issues with the space provided on this particular aircraft. Despite the lack of seatback TVs on this aircraft, you are still able to enjoy entertainment provided by American using a Wi-Fi connection to your personal electronic device. The service is free of charge, and once connected you could choose from a wide selection of feature-length films as well as shorter TV shows, and American also offer a music streaming service provided by Apple Music. Alternatively, you might choose to take advantage of the live TV provided, and if you need to communicate with friends or family on the ground or catch up with your emails, you can purchase a full flight Wi-Fi pass for $14. And as we're looking at staying connected, now's a good time to remind you that as well as subscribing to my YouTube channel, you can also keep up to date with my travels and latest videos by following me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter.
And that's almost it. We're making a final approach into Chicago's O'Hare Airport now. It's a little bit dark outside, not sure how much we'll see, but make sure to stick around to the end of the video for my final thoughts.
So welcome to my hotel here in Chicago after that flight with American Airlines, and now I'll share with you my final thoughts on today's experience, starting off in Miami. And I mentioned earlier on that it felt a bit like a game of two halves in Miami today, because one part of it was negative, the other was pretty positive. The negative side sadly came before I got through to the main departures area, and that was check-in in particular. Now, American Airlines operated a self-service bag drop facility, which is perfectly fine. It's used by many airlines, but it really wasn't that well managed. I've used it before, but even I found the whole system a little bit confusing at times. There's lots of crowds, not many staff around to direct people, and once you had tagged up your own bag, you still had to queue up anyway to hand your bag over to a member of staff to put it onto the belts. And there weren't enough staff, so the queues were really long, so that was a bit disappointing. Also, I would say that the security agents I interacted with today, well, they weren't the friendliest bunch in the world. They are doing a very important job, but some smiles would have gone amiss. It just felt a little bit like we weren't really wanted there. Now, that's probably a bit steep, bit much, but that's how it looked from my opinion. Then we came through security though, and I really did like the terminal. I found the overall design of it to be really appealing. I like the little touches such as the fish designs on the walls, and also the fact there was a good selection of shops and restaurants available for passengers. So I wouldn't hesitate to travel through Miami again in future, just maybe leave myself a bit more time to get through security. And then we come to the flight itself. Now, American Airlines, I've flown with them before. This is my first time on a full domestic flight on an Airbus aircraft in the USA, and I did quite enjoy it. There were some good and bad points though. One point I would like to mention is the crew. They were very experienced indeed, and the service, well, it was carried out with a real high level of professionalism. It wasn't the fastest service I've ever seen, but that's to be expected when they operate from the front, much like on a Delta flight I took recently. And of course the service itself, well, you still do get complimentary snack and drink on board American Airlines. The soft drink was nice, as was the Biscoff cookie that I had. I seem to be going through a lot of those at the moment. It's also worth noting, if you do want a more substantial snack on board, you can purchase from American Airlines. Speaking of the onboard experience as well, the seat. Well, it wasn't the most modern seat I've ever seen, but it was quite well padded and the legroom I found to be quite generous. It was missing charging though, and that's an issue because they don't offer any in-flight entertainment on this particular aircraft, but you can, however, stream items to your phone. I watched a movie, for example, on the flight, which was really great system. I really appreciated it, but it does drain your battery, so that's something to bear in mind. We arrived in Chicago after making up a bit of a delay on time, but then things did sadly go south again. Now, this wasn't really American Airlines' fault. When we arrived at the gate, there was an issue with the jet bridge and we couldn't disembark. We then waited for well over half an hour ago while they tried to decide what to do. Now, in my experience, when this has happened before on flights, what they'd normally do is bring a set of steps to the aircraft and help us disembark that way. That would have made a lot of sense because many passengers on the flight had really tight connections. After about half an hour, the plan was made to actually push us back and then put us onto another gate so we can disembark then. So we had to reseat, rearm the doors to the crew, stow all our bags again. As we were doing that, the air bridge started working. It just felt a little bit disorganised. Now again, that may not be down to American Airlines, of course, that's the airport's responsibility to make sure the jet bridges are working. But the way the situation was handled wasn't great, particularly for those passengers waiting to get onto their next flight. So my overall summary of this flight today was, it was okay, but I wouldn't say that American Airlines would be top of my list to try it again in future. It was a perfectly comfortable flight, but nothing particularly memorable, nothing favourable I'd say. Let me know though if you've flown with American Airlines before, what you think of their service. Do leave me some feedback in the comment section, and if you've enjoyed this video today, please do give me a thumbs up, and of course if you'd like to see future aviation related videos, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a future upload. But most of all, take care.